I'm Stephen Rose. Thanks for having me here today. I am an 11-year veteran here at Microsoft, and then before that, spent 15 years as owning my own consulting company, doing IT pro consulting. I was an MVP for 4 or 5 years. I've been certified since NT40, so I still know what a pass-through IRQ is and things like that, which nobody needs to know anymore, but some people still do. So I've been doing this for a long time. I was on the Windows team for about 8 or 9 years. I launched Windows 7, Windows 8, Windows 10. I was on the OneDrive team and was involved in the relaunching of OneDrive about 3 or 4 years ago when we completely rebuilt the product from the ground up. And about 8 months ago, I came over to the Microsoft 365 team. So I own our demos and a lot of our storytelling that we do around the full product suite, which is Windows and Office 365 and our security suite. So here tonight to talk to you guys, and I'm going to give you a choice. So if I think I can see everybody, so we'll do this by a show of hands. I can do one of two things tonight. I can either do a presentation that kind of covers how you get people to adopt software and what's involved in software adoption. It's a session I'm starting to put together for Ignite. It's really early, but I have some cool stuff there. Or I could just do demos of some really cool features in Windows and Office that you may not be familiar with and didn't even know existed that are kind of cool. So I could do either one. So let's go through. Let's do the Windows Office Demo Fest. Who wants to see that one? Raise your hand. And then the software adoption one. All right, I guess we'll go with Demo Fest, not software adoption. So, okay, that's fine. I'm good with that.
His camera view.
What?
They went that way.
I'm sorry.
Just want to tell Stephen that there was a few folks that were out of his camera view, but they voted for Office and Windows.
Okay, good. Yeah, and I'll be doing the session. So for any of you, actually move me back a little bit to the left that way, just so I can see the majority of the room. Like back that way. Because I'm seeing a whole lot of that white thing over on the far right and not a whole lot of people. So there we go. Much better. Good. Now I kind of got everybody. And I'll be doing the session at Ignite. So if you're attending Ignite, keep an eye out and we'll be doing that one. I'm going to have some special guests on stage. So pretty cool stuff. All right. So let's do this. So let's start with PowerPoint. All right, so give me a second. Let me bring up a fresh PowerPoint. Get rid of that one. Let's see. So we'll do screen one. All right. Can everybody see a blank PowerPoint?
Yeah.
Okay. So some cool things in PowerPoint that we come out with. One of my favorite is this really cool feature called Design Ideas. If you notice up here in Office 2019, you have Design Ideas. It's also available right now on the web view. But here's what's cool. You'll notice that there's these really nice, pretty looking templates. But if I were to type in Chicago, watch what happens. Look at that. It's smart. It knows. And all I have to do is go, yeah, that one looks like a pretty good one. And it uses intelligence to automatically know what you're looking for and how to bring it together. So if I go to build another slide, so let's say I do a new slide and I do a title and content slide and I do events. And here I type in New York City and I go back to design. And I go to Design Ideas, what it will do is it will take a look and notice it saw the word New York City. And then here I click and it automatically drops in a picture. So this is great with Design Ideas because if you're not that great at PowerPoint, it's super helpful at helping you to really be a lot smarter about the product. Another thing that you can do is we can say past, present, and future. And then we go over here to Design Ideas and we'll see what it comes up with. And it goes, oh, I see what you're trying to do. You're talking about time. So I can add a clock, or I can even go in here and notice it's automatically figured out what the best icons are, but notice for present, it thought it was present. So I can double click the icon, and when you do, you'll get this little pop-up icon that says replace your icon. So I'm going to click it, and it comes up with a whole series saying, hey, is it any of these? And I'm like, nope. So I can say, you know what, let's find a clock. Ah, there we go. So I can do a clock, drop that one in, double click, and boom, there it is. And now that I have those icons there, it's giving me a pretty good variety of different choices and things that I can pick, different backgrounds. But it's that easy to really be able to not just create really great looking PowerPoints, but to also have it help you and be intelligent in figuring out what you might want and how that might come together. So that's feature number one. Any questions on that or how that works?
One question,
Yeah.
just in case, are those pictures of New York and Chicago royalty free?
Yes, all of them are royalty free, which is what's really great. So all of them are royalty free. We pull them from galleries that you can use and drop them in so that you can do that. And that's really the great thing. Same thing here that if you'll see here, for example, if I go to, I'll do a new slide here. And I'll go ahead and I'll click pictures. When you do that, it will ask you, are you trying to bring in something from here? Or I can say insert a picture from my computer or other pictures that you're connected to, but I also have online pictures. And when you pick online pictures, it will only show you pictures that you could use. So if I choose a clock and I hit enter, I'm only seeing things that I'm allowed to use. So it says, yep, these are all public. You can use them however you want, not a problem. I can grab it, insert it, and it's going to drop it right in there for me. Once it downloads it, excellent. See, unknown license by, I have all that information there. So yep, it'll do that for you, which is awesome. Any other questions? Okay. Let's talk about a really powerful feature that I'm a huge fan of that most folks don't even know exists. So I'm going to go now to slideshow, and you'll see up here there's a button called captions and subtitles. Now the first thing I can do is I can say always use subtitles. Let me set this back to my defaults here, and I can go into my view, and let's see if you guys are able to see that. What you should start to see, and I may have to pick a different window, is you'll be able to, here in a few seconds, be able to see the titles coming out underneath what I'm talking about. Are you guys able to see that?
No.
Okay, that's fine. I'm going to go to my main monitor. So give me a moment, and I'm going to switch this. So give me a moment. Monitor, let's go to primary. And let me just share out my desktop rather than doing a specific app. So bring that out from here, share, and I'm going to pick screen one. Okay, and then I'm going to go to that. So let's see if this works now. All right, can you see the picture of New York? And hopefully you should start to see the subtitles come in. It's listening. It'll take a few minutes. Now what's happening is when you start to speak, it is taking what you're saying, it's sending it up to the cloud, it's using AI to try to understand what you're saying, and then go ahead and bringing it in. It may be having problems because I'm using a different mic instead of the one that I'm using here in my headset, but you can see down here it says listening. Now, in addition to just being able to do this in English, which is great and very nice, is I also have subtitle settings that allow me to pick additional languages. That's why I was having problems. Yeah, let's try it that way. I'm going to pick let me do it here to English again, and then I'll pick a secondary language. So now that it's actually using the headset, I can actually see that we're looking at a picture of New York. We're seeing an event that's going to take place there in the next few weeks. Okay, pretty standard. Great. It's taking English, it's transferring it over. Nice. It's not storing anything up in the cloud. It's just taking it and bringing it down. Let's show you where it gets very exciting. I'm now going to go to subtitle settings, and I'm going to pick a different language. I'm going to pick, let's say Spanish. I do not speak Spanish, but we're going to go up. We'll say, good morning, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome to this presentation about New York City and the events that we will be having there. It's taking it, and in real time, it's taking everything I'm saying, and it's bringing it over to Spanish. I've used this in India, Sweden, Amsterdam, Japan, and China, and I've been told the translation is around 90 to 95%. People have been very impressed. As long as you speak clearly and you take a pause, it's good. Now, what's nice is someone else can step up to the microphone, and after a few seconds, it will start to translate what they're saying, also in real time. I don't need to train this like a Dragon Speak or anything like that. It just listens and it does it. All right, I'm going to stop there for some questions on this. Now, this is an API that other people, where you can build your own software and you can actually connect up to this as well. Any questions on the translate feature? This is something where we now have real-time translation, English to English in Teams, and in time we'll bring this where whatever your primary language is in something like Teams, on a video call, you'll see the text pop up in your own language. So this is where we're going with it and where we'll end up. No question?
It's bilingual. Does it look pretty
Yep.
fun to you?
Awesome.
Yeah. So, and this is really the goal, is as we look at diversity and inclusion, which is incredibly important to so many of our customers and to ourselves, is by having the real-time translation, which I see in my Teams meeting of everything I'm saying and you guys are saying, to be able to see that allows me, if I have a disability, if I'm not understanding somebody because of a thicker accent or something like that, to be able to bring that in. And now with the language translation, it truly allows you to have a meeting with anybody from any device and not have to worry about differences like languages and cultural differences to be better understood. So it's a super exciting feature, and it's pretty cool, and you can play with it today. It's in the product, you can use it, and you can go home and you can check it out. Ready for more?
Yes.
All right. Let's go to, oh, well, we'll stay in PowerPoint here for a few minutes, because the stuff we're doing in you know what? We'll go to Word. We'll get out of PowerPoint. We did a good amount of PowerPoint here, so we'll save that.
What?
Hey, Steven, just want to
Yeah.
does it keep a rolling log of the conversation or dialogue that took place?
It does not, but if you are recording the meeting, you can upload that to Stream. With Stream, you can not only search for specific words, but it also creates a full transcript of the meeting, which you can download. And you can also, in the meeting, go in and search for a keyword like your name, and it will show you every time in that meeting your name is mentioned, and you can go right to those points. So that's if you're taking video and storing it in Stream. It will do that. If you're doing a longer meeting with multiple presenters, it'll actually show you the icons for each of the presenters, and you can see when they're speaking. Sorry, and how that goes back and forth. It's been a long day today. So Stream is the way to be able to do that. But no, there's no, it's not staying up in the cloud or doing we're not holding any of the data for the conversations. It all comes back down. But if you record, the recording can use those engines and it can leverage that. So from a security purpose, we're not listening to all your conversations. If you're recording them, they're going into Stream. They're going through the AI engine then. But in a regular presentation, no, nothing is being stored up in our cloud. All right. Let's take a look at Word. So I'm going to move you guys back over here. And I'm going to go share my screen one. And we'll bring up Word. So there's a lot of really cool new features in Word. So let me go and type in something. Add some bullet points. All right. I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to save this. And by default, it's going to save into OneDrive. So some of the things that we've added have really made collaboration considerably easier. You can have multiple people in this document at the same time. If I were to share this with somebody else, we would see the icons for those people show up. I could put my cursor over it. I would also see them up here in the top right-hand corner, and I'd be able to chat with them in real time. But one of the things that I really like is once I get into a review mode, I can, for example, add a new comment, and I can type in @ and then I can start to type in somebody's name. And notice how it's automatically going out to our global address list. I can pick whoever it is that I want to look for and have it search, bring that person up. And now what's going to happen is, now that I have picked somebody like Jason Gregory, you know, is this correct? Now notice it's saying, hey, some users may not have access to them. Do I want to give them access to it, share it with them, and notify? Because you're calling them out, you're probably going to want to do that. So that's the first thing. The second thing is, they're also now, once I give them access to it, they're going to get an email that says, hey, you've been mentioned in this document. You may want to check this out. Now, my favorite new feature is I can grab all of this. I can choose a new comment, and I can say, @ Stephen Rose, are these dates correct? And I can go ahead and hit enter and drop out of that. And here's what's going to happen. It's now going to send me an email with the whole area that I just highlighted. And it will say, are these dates correct? Let me see if there's a way that I can, let me make sure I get the email and see if there's a way that I can bring that up without sharing every email I have in my email box. So give me a moment. But what it would do is it would say, you know, from Stephen Rose, it would have the content I highlighted, these 4 dogs and foxes, and it would say, hey, is this correct? And what's really great is I am able to respond right there in that email and say, yeah, that looks right. And then it will automatically post that answer right here underneath. So I'll wait for it to come in on my iPad over here. And then I'll go ahead and I will drop that in once that shows up. Yep, here it is. So I can see that I got mentioned. Great. I'm going to go to the comment here, and I'm going to go ahead and answer it, and then I'm going to view the mention. And give me a moment. Okay, send, and then I can go and say, and that's it. We'll see that pop up here in a second. It's going to say, yes, those are correct. And we'll see that come in, and that will drop in, and it's that simple. So it becomes a really great way for you to work with a variety of people as you're working on documents, as you're working on different things, to be able to call people out, be able to see these different resolutions, to be able to, you know, change those aspects up. Notice all here, we also have new set, we can do translate. So I could take a section here and I can say translate, and it would come up, it would pop out over here on the right, and it would say, okay, I detected English, and let's say I wanted to change it to Dutch. I would say great, and then I would say insert, and now it's changed it to Dutch. So being able to take a full email, to be able to translate specific sections of things that you get. Notice even my comments over here on the right have been also done in Dutch as well. So that level of intelligence that comes in is super critical and really makes life considerably easier as we start to do that. Another great feature that we brought in is a feature called the Resume Assistant. I love this feature. I love showing it to college grads and people who are just starting out in the field. And what it will do is it will kind of walk you through not only how to create a great resume, but you could also add it to see examples. And how often have you been writing a resume or working on one and you're looking for how do other people talk about this? So we could say, that you're an IT manager for technology, information technology and services. We can go to see example. And what it will do is it will give you from real examples different ways that people have described their job and their skill sets. So it's awesome for helping you to be able to do that. There's also a great amount of templates around resumes that are now inside of Word that we have brought in that will also help you within that. I'm going to pause there to see if there's any questions.
I have a question about using the act to notify.
Yeah.
Does that rely on Teams?
No.
Unless we're stuck in Linkland, are we still?
No. It's connected to your account, which has Active Directory in it. So if it connects up to Active Directory, it's going to pull everything from Active Directory.
Thank you.
Yeah, Teams. Let's actually talk about Teams, because I know that there's a lot of interest around Teams and what it can do and how it works. We really see Teams as the hub for teamwork. And what's great about Teams is that as we take a look at how people work, what's very interesting is we have a unique time in our history where we have 4 generations of workers that are working inside of offices and together at the same time. And it's just something that has never happened. Hang on, I have the numbers. Let me bring that up because I actually had it as part of a presentation I did a few days ago. So give me a moment. I was sitting with the Keurig Dr. Pepper folks, and we were chatting, and they're going through a very interesting digital transformation. And as we take a look at the breakdown, we have our baby boomers that are 1946 to 1964 make up 4% of the workforce currently. When we take a look at Gen X, that's 1965 to 1980, they make up 38% of the workforce. Millennials, 1981 to 2000 are 40%, and Gen Z, people born in 2000 that are just now starting to come into the workforce, that's 18%. So what's interesting is we have this top level baby boomer and even a lot of the Gen X. So we're looking at about 30%, a third, are very much about email is my life. Everything comes to me in email. I send emails, I receive emails, I do everything in email. Calendar, Outlook is always open, and Outlook is the center of my universe. Now we have on the bottom end 58% of folks who are millennials and Gen Zs who are saying, I'm never touch email. Email is what you blast to somebody company-wide when you want to tell them about something new that's happening. But if I want to communicate, I'm going to do it through chat. That could be through WhatsApp, that could be through Google Teams, etc., Slack, Teams. Why chat over email? Well, there's a few reasons for that. The chat in Teams is persistent, which means I can go back and see all the conversations. If I miss a day of work or I'm out, I can go back and see what everybody's talking about. Number 2, everything is inside the app. All the files, all the communication, everything that's been going on is all happening inside of Teams. Unlike email, where I've got an attachment here and an email here, and it's in this folder and it's there, everything's in there. Think about what happens when you bring a new person on board and they need to get up to speed. Maybe you send them to a SharePoint site, but that's one of several things because there's still no conversations there. There's just the files and there's no context. You can maybe forward them a ton of emails, but that's horrific to try to go through. If there's a team site, every time you create a new project, you create a new team site and you have that. Now that person drops in, they see all of the key announcements, all the conversations, all the files, everything that's important to them. They're able to read through that, get context, and then be able to ask the pertinent questions and know who are the people that are a member of this team that I should be working with. So when you think about millennials, when you think about, Gen Xers, there's such a difference. I take a look at my daughter who, while driving, I picked her up, she's a junior in high school. So I picked her up at school yesterday, and in the car, she's on her phone on OneNote, adding notes for a biology thing that she's doing. And then she drops into her SharePoint group and uploads her project and sees what other people, and they're working on it in real time. There are 4 people inside of SharePoint, inside of, which is the back end for Teams, that are working on a PowerPoint in real time, and they're all updating the notes. And she's doing this off her phone. Now that doesn't work for me. I'm in my 50s. I don't see so good no more, so I'm moved to a bigger device. I use an iPad very often for a lot of that type of work. I'm working off my Surface laptop right now. I have the 2. But I find that most of what I do, I can now do off my iPad. I bring it in, I use OneNote for meetings, I go in, I add edits to PowerPoints, things like that. And when I want to do heavy lifting, then I go over to my Surface laptop, and that's really where I pound out a lot of the heavy stuff. But for individuals, it really is about the ability to be able to use any device, anywhere that makes sense. So what does that mean? That means, A, getting your files into the cloud is that first step. OneDrive created a great feature that at the push of a button redirects your desktop, My Documents, and photos to OneDrive, but it's seamless to the end users. Has everybody seen that feature, the backup feature in OneDrive? Anybody not seen it? I'm happy to demo it for 30 seconds and show you how it works. Okay, I will show it to you. So here's what I'm going to do. I'm going to share up my desktop again. I'm going to move the Teams window over here. I'm going to close out of this. And I'm going to go down here to my OneDrive icon. Oh, hang on, I got to move you guys. I'm going to put you guys up there. I'm going to go to my OneDrive icon, and I'm going to go to Settings, and it's going to open up Settings, and there's a tab called Backup. Now, I can do Manage Backup, and it will open up a window, and you're going to see that it's already done, but it would say Start Backing Up. And what this will do is it will redirect your desktop, your My Documents, and your pictures to OneDrive. Now, is that going to be disturbing or distressing to anybody? No, because if they're saving all their work on their desktop or in My Documents, it's invisible. It's not like everything's going to disappear. As you look at my desktop over here, you can see that all my folders are here. The only difference is I'm using Files on Demand. Files on Demand is showing me what's available on the device or what's only in the cloud, so I'm able to do that. Now what's awesome is if I get ransomware, malware, if my hard drive dies, if I go to another computer or anything, on a PC, and as soon as I log into a new PC, everything you see in my desktop documents and photos is going to be replicated and will be right there. Number 2 is I can go to any PC on the planet and I can get to my content. How? Well, as simple as me going and logging into OneDrive. So if I go up here and I go to OneDrive client, so give me a second here, I'm going to log in. I'm going to show you something pretty cool. So I'm going to go here. Here's my desktop folder. I'll move this out of the way so we can see CDX, CRO, CIO, Contacts, Gartner, Ignite. Everybody see those folders there? Yep, shake your heads. Cool. Now take a look. CHRO, CIO, CDX, Gartner. There it is. I could go to any PC on the planet and access my content. I could go to my phone and I can access my content. I can go to a brand new PC and within seconds after I log in, once I turn on OneDrive, all of these folders are going to show up. And what's really cool is I can search across that. So I can go down here to search and I can type in CDX and it will show me every file that's local, every file that's in the cloud. Let me show you one other really cool thing about this, then I'll stop and I'll answer some questions. I'm going to go back to the browser here. I'm going to go here and I'm going to go to Restore Your OneDrive. So I just went up to the gear at the top, clicked on Restore Your OneDrive. If for any reason you, like I said, get malware, ransomware, anything, I can pick any date range and I can restore every file and folder to any point in time in the past 30 days. Every document, every folder, I can bring it all back. It's that easy. I can say, yeah, just show me everything that was over a week ago. So it says, yep, here's everything that was synced, that you created, that you deleted, that you worked on, whatever that is, there it is. And I can just hit restore and it comes back in just a few seconds. So if I got hit with malware, I clean my PC, then I say, okay, I got hit with malware around noon on Friday, restore it back to 10 a.m. And everything that was on my PC at 10 a.m. is now back and ready to go. This includes every picture I take on my phone, immediately goes to OneDrive, so that's available there, which is super important to me. It's all there. I'm going to stop and I'm going to answer some questions now because there probably are some. Yes, you in the shirt with the hand up. Yes, young lady.
I have a question about space. In other words, if you were to do the backup that you're talking about, what are the, how much space do you have in OneDrive that can hold? Because I think about all the photographs I have currently on my hard drive, and it's mammoth. So how many gigs do you get?
Okay, let's talk about personal versus business. So OneDrive for business is anywhere from 1 terabyte to unlimited storage. If you have an Office 365 subscription, you get 1 terabyte per person. And you can, of course, buy more storage if you choose to. It's $1.99 a month for another 200 gigs, and you can buy as much as you want with that. So, yeah, you can go as big as you want with that and do that. For in business, you get with any E3 or E5 subscription unlimited storage, which is great. So you could continue to put tons of stuff up in there. But it really makes a big difference. The other nice thing is for personal, we've actually added a feature called Vault, which is a dually encrypted area where you can store things like your driver's license or insurance cards or passport information, which actually goes to your phone, which brings up a really good point. We are one of many companies that are killing the password. Within the next year or two, you're not going to be typing in passwords on any device. How do you get into your phone today? What do you use? You use your fingerprint, or you just use your face. There's not even a fingerprint sensor on this one. You use your face. Well, if I go to a MacBook and I go to log into a Microsoft secure page, what it does is after I type in my name, it doesn't ask me for my password. It says, if you are really Stephen Rose at Microsoft.com, then I'm going to go to Authenticator. It's going to show up on your phone and it's going to say authenticate this user. So if it pops up and I wasn't trying to get into a page, I know somebody's trying to hack me. If I was trying to get into a page, I never type in a password. I just hit yes, and then it lets me into the page and the page automatically rolls up. So that's what we're seeing, and it works the same for Vault. When you go into your Vault, it'll come up to your phone. It'll say, are you trying to get into your Vault? Yes, I am. You have to unlock it, your picture or your face, your thumb, etc., and then you're to get into that content on your device. But you're going to start seeing that it's never going to ask you for a password when you're getting into Microsoft properties. That we'll see this on the consumer side very soon. And most companies are doing this where they're now moving to that biometrics passwordless society, because passwords are hard to remember. They're easy to crack, but it's not what you know, it's what you have. And that really makes a huge difference. I'll stop there for questions. Yeah, go ahead, sir.
Have you restored the files to the Microsoft phone that you discontinued?
Have I restored the file? I'm sorry, say that again?
That you could go to your phone and have your files there.
Yeah, if you go into the OneDrive app, you'll see desktop documents, photos, and everything is there. So everything will sync up and you'll see the whole thing.
Okay, I just have that on my Microsoft phone and I'm trying to show you.
Yeah, unfortunately, the Microsoft phones, I don't think we brought that feature to it since we no longer support the Microsoft phone anymore. Sorry. iPhone and Android, we have it, which is 98% of the population, 99, and that's what we're doing. We stopped doing updates to the Microsoft phone, I think, last October. So there's no more updates to it, so I apologize. But thank you for being there. I missed my Windows phone. I loved the tiles, and it was awesome. Yes, sir. Over here on my left, you're right there in the blue in the front.
I've been using Microsoft Authenticator for some time, and I know how to move from phone to phone. My concern is if the phone, gets rolled over by the car or it gets lost, how do I and it's an iPhone, so I have a backup. But if my backup comes down to a different phone,
Mhm.
will Authenticator choke? Does
No, yeah, if you go into Authenticator and you go into a backup, yeah,
Right.
it's gonna send you a code. You're gonna have to prove it that it's you. So you're gonna have to go through a few steps, but you'll be able to go in and grab your backup for it, and you'll be fine. So I've done it because I have like 8 different phones and I'm constantly getting new phones. So as long as it's backed up, you're fine when you come in. The other thing that you can do is you can go on the web. And Authenticator will actually, when you go to the Authenticator on the web, it actually creates a QR code that you can show with your phone. And then it says, yep, prove it's you, log in. And if you're already logged into your Microsoft account, it'll bring that in. So there's a bunch of different ways, but no, it won't choke there. As long as you've done a backup, you're good. So just make sure you go in every once in a while and just make sure you've done a backup and you're pretty set. And it's super easy to do. Good question. Thank you. Other questions? Yes, ma'am.
So are the archives of the chat sessions keyword searchable?
Say that again. Sorry, say that one more time. It's a little hard to hear.
Like the chat sessions, are they keyword searchable?
The chat sessions, which chat sessions? The chat sessions in Teams? Is that what you're asking about? Chat in Teams? What chat? Where chat?
I would imagine in Teams.
Okay. Yeah, not obviously chat on your phone. That's not backed up. We don't do that. But in Teams, there's chat. And yes, you can search inside. If you're a member of that team, you can search within your own team across all of that chat. You can also search inside of those documents and things along that line. So yes, the one thing to know is chat in Teams is actually backed up in OneDrive and stored locally. So that's why it can do that, bring that up. It will not be able to search, though, private chats that you've done. So the one-to-one chats, that you can't do, but you can always go up to the top of chat. It's kind of hard to show Teams inside of Teams. So let me see if I can do it. I don't know if I can. Yeah, I'm going to try. So let's do this. And I'm going to go here and tell me if you can see activity. Can you see activity? Awesome, great. So first thing you can do is you can go into feed and you can take a look at just my activity, or I can see all activity and I can filter. So I can type in a word. So I can say exec demo, and this is every activity that was around executive demos. So I can see that there. In chat, I can do the same thing here too. So I can filter by a keyword and I can type in the word demo, and that's every conversation that included the word demo. So absolutely. And when I get into my teams, so let me find an innocuous team that's not giving away any special super secret sauce here. We'll go into my demo team private, which is fine. We'll go here into general. So the same thing here is I can see all these posts. I can go in, I can filter or look across teams and channels to find exactly what I'm looking for. So all of that is there. And one of my favorite things is here when you get into files, you can add additional cloud storage. You can, of course, download a file, but one of my favorites is I can choose sync. And what that will do was it will go ahead and open it up in OneDrive, and it will sync then to my Windows Explorer. So what I will see is that when I go to my Windows Explorer, I can actually see that same folder, this O365 demos private, and I can see exactly the same stuff here inside of Windows Explorer that I see here inside of files if I don't want to have to go in each time. Again, remember, every time you create a new team, you're really creating a SharePoint site on the back end, and that's where all that stuff is being stored in SharePoint and inside of Teams. The other nice thing is your calendar is in sync, so you don't need to keep going to Outlook to take a look at your calendar. Your calendar is here. There's a one-touch join for meetings, which is awesome. You can always just do a meet now if you want to as well. So I could go up here, I could hit meet now, type in somebody's name and bring that up. I can create a new meeting from here. I can break it down by a day, a work week, or a week. And today for the meeting, all I had to do was go in and click join. I didn't have to go beyond that in anything I was going to do. I'm also a member of multiple organizations, and I can simply just click on any of these organizations and it will switch over to that. So if you're working consulting, let's say with 2 or 3 different customers, you can have a unique team site for each of them. We also, and this is super cool as well, have all of these additional features. So you can, for example, bring in Stream. We support shifts for first line workers. Whenever I go to a conference, I can set up all the booth shifts here. And I've seen companies that have used it where they do all the scheduling through that and it pops up on the mobile app. I have Planner I can bring into any team site, OneNote. And of course, in addition, we have, and I'll click here, we have hundreds of third-party apps that also connect in. So we have Flow, we have Zoom, GitHub, Tasks in a Box, Priority Matrix, Hive, hundreds and hundreds of different third-party products that you can bring in simply as a tab inside of any team site. So I could go up here, I could click Add, and it all comes up here, and I could say, yeah, I want to bring in Cloud Index or Upwave or any one of these, or a web page or Planner or Power BI or a SharePoint site or Stream or a website. I could say, you know what, I'd like to bring in www.microsoft365.com and oh, I gotta have HTTP first. Great, we can drop that in, hit back, whatever it is I want to do, or The Verge or any website, and it will simply show up here, just like Planner did, or any of these other things as an app or a page, but it's all inside the team. And you can manage and pick and choose what people see, what they're able to get to, what they're able to access, and what they can do within the group. So that's a great question. All right, let me close out of that sharing and come back to the main room and answer some more questions. Other questions? Yes, sir.
I was wondering about when you choose to sync files, are you getting file stubs that are downloaded on demand? You're getting the entire file, and can I choose? So if I have a space-constrained device, like my crappy old tablet, I don't want all of my photos.
Yeah.
Right? If I put all my photos on my old Android tablet, it won't open. I'd be done.
Yeah.
So how flexible are you in determining what's on the device?
Well, let me show you. We have a great feature inside of OneDrive, and I'm going to go back here up to settings, that you'll see on your main tab called Files on Demand. And let me show you what that does. So I'm going to open up a directory here. So I'm going to go into my Windows Explorer. You guys can see my Windows Explorer okay? All right, I have all these videos. So let's zoom in. You can see here that I have 32.4 gigs of video, but it's only taking up 27.4 megabytes on my device. So what does that mean? Well, I have 3 different types of icons. I have this cloud icon, and what that means is that is a file or a folder or a series of files that are, here, let me go to, we'll go to a list, view as a list. And we can see here, I have 2 different types of icons. I have a cloud. That means this file is in the cloud. I can see the thumbnail. I can search by it. It could be a PowerPoint, Word document. Doesn't make a difference, but I'm able to search this file and see it. The green check mark means this file has been opened and is cached locally on the device. Now, I can set a policy as an administrator that says when somebody gets down to less than 10% on their Windows or Mac to automatically move the files that are the oldest back to cloud only. And you're going, well, that's really good, unless I'm in a place that has no internet and I need to access something. And that's not a problem, because you can right mouse click and you have some choices. You can say, always keep on this device, which you will see now has turned that green and white check mark to a solid green check mark. That means this file is always on the device, and you will not be able to, it will not be removed under any circumstances whatsoever as opposed to some other ones that may be. Or I can right click if I want to free up some space here. I can highlight all of these files and say free up space, which moves them all back to cloud only. Now you'll notice when I go back to a view by large icons, I still see icons for these. Even though they're not there, I'm still seeing icons that tell me what this is. And if I go to something like documents, and I go into, here, let's get out of personal, I'll go to business, and I'll go here to my older OneDrive folder. Let's see. You'll see when I go in here into budget, for example, I get, if I go big here, I'll get a full icon. So I can go view, make it large, and there it is. I can see the icon. Even though this file's in the cloud, I get a full thumbnail. We actually support over 350 different file types that you are able to have a preview for. If you're on the web, you can double click a file and be able to look at it, pictures, whatever, be able to actually look at them without needing a separate app. The only thing you can't do is edit. Like I can open up medical files, I can open up PowerPoints, AutoCAD. I can open up any of those on the web through the web version, be able to view it. I just can't edit or make changes without actually having the app. So Files on Demand very simply allows you to pick and choose what uses space on your device and what does not. In Android and iOS, when you go into the OneDrive app, everything is in the cloud. Nothing is local to the device unless you highlight something and say, download, that you want a local copy of it. So I can go to my phone or my iPad, I can go into OneDrive and view every photo I've ever taken, and it's not going to take up any space. The only photos taking up space are the ones in your camera roll, and if you've set OneDrive to back that up, that's fine, because the moment you delete those, it's fine. You'll still see them up in the cloud. You'd have to delete them from the cloud for them to be deleted. Make sense?
Yes. Is that thumbnail offline, or do I only see the thumbnail if I'm connected to the internet?
The first time you'll need to be connected to the internet because it has to download a viewer, but then it caches a copy of that thumbnail locally, so you'll be fine after that. So you'll be good. But if you try to open it without having an app installed, it's not going to work. But on the web, not a problem. Yes, ma'am. Yeah.
On OneDrive, is it possible to set up a backup to where it will automatically back up periodically on, I don't know, a daily basis, weekly basis, whatever?
OneDrive isn't a backup tool. So OneDrive is basically storing all of your files, folders, and documents to the cloud. So everything is always backed up in real time. If you may open up a document and you make a change, the moment you close it, it's uploading those differences to the cloud and everything's always in sync. Delete a document locally, it's going to delete it from the cloud. Delete it from the cloud, it's going to delete it locally. It's always in sync. It's not a backup. You're just saying everything I do is now also stored in the cloud, and it will completely synchronize everything you're doing, but you also now have that safety and availability of having that in the cloud.
Well, I have Office 365, and one of the unusual things that I found is that I've got Microsoft Word version 2012 on the hard drive of our desktop system. And because it's this 2012 version, I keep running into issues with the software not working quite right with OneDrive.
Right.
So
because we don't actually support 2012 anymore. So we support 2016 and 2019 with the newer versions of OneDrive. You're using a version that's not in mainstream support anymore. So that's going to be the problem, is we're always going to be focused on the current versions that are in support, which is 2016, 2019. But if you also work on the web, if you have Office 365, you're able to work on the web. And that's really the key thing, is we're moving away from, not that we're going to get rid of desktop versions, but more and more of our audience only wants to work on the web. The idea of downloading an app and having it locally to them, to that 40%, just doesn't make sense. I'm still a desktop guy and everything I do, but you're going to need to move to a newer version to see a lot of these features and functionality I'm talking about, because we don't backport those to older versions, unfortunately.
is there a way to move all those documents? I have a zillion documents from 2012 into the newer version up on the web, because I agree, I want everything to be up on the web and on the newer version. Is it upgradable, the older documents?
Well, it'll automatically do that. So the great thing is once you open up something in 2019, it will automatically update it to a 2019 version that works with older versions, but it puts you on the latest version and make sure you have all the functionality. So when you go out, if you buy an Office 365 subscription,
Yeah.
you can actually download the latest versions of the software, which is great. It's not going to affect your documents, but then once you do that, are you on Windows 10 as well, or are you still on Windows 7?
No.
10?
Windows 10. Yeah.
Awesome.
10.
Yeah, and Windows 10 has got the latest version of OneDrive, so you're fine with turning that on and getting all your stuff into the cloud. The big thing for you is to use all the features I'm showing you tonight. You've got to move up to a newer version of Office.
Okay. Thank you.
Yeah, good question. Other questions on any of our products? I'm happy to go, and I can certainly keep showing more stuff. Yeah.
Is it kind of will Skype be replaced by Teams then?
Yeah, Skype Personal is not going anywhere. So the Skype Consumer will continue to stay. Skype for Business is absolutely, and we've said, is going to go away and become Teams. So all the calling features and all that will get moved in. That's something that we announced publicly about a year ago. That'll happen over the next 2 years. For on-prem, it'll happen a little bit later for that. But yeah, Skype for Business is going away because the chat functionality is now in Teams. We've moved that in. We're also bringing in things like Kaizala. But for consumers, we'll continue to keep the Skype consumer SKU around. That's not going to go anywhere.
Will, I haven't played around with it a whole lot yet. Looking forward to. Can you use like a traditional phone to participate though too? Have that capability?
Could you say that again? What about a phone?
Like if you wanted to have a traditional phone as opposed to over mic, over speakerphone, can you do that with Teams integration, or is that?
I think for that you'd have to be on Teams that's hosted locally, so it can connect up with your PSTN system. For a lot of our customers, the cost of that just doesn't make sense anymore. Plus, they say we want to be able to record every call. We want to be able to have video. We want people to be able to record meetings and do everything from their phone or from their Mac. So they're moving completely to cloud-based. A, because of the savings, and B, because of the flexibility. But if you still have a large PSTN or call center, yes, you can do that as you start to figure out how you're going to move that into the cloud. So absolutely.
You can still join by phone on lines hosted by Microsoft, right?
Yeah, you can at any time call a phone number and you can dial in. But the problem is you're not going to see things that are being shared. You're not going to get the meeting recorded. You're not going to be able to see face and video. You won't see closed captioning or any of these other features that are now becoming pretty standard for a lot of companies. I mean, we've worked with Walmart and Lego and Disney and CN Railways and Georgia Pacific, and all of them have said this is the future, that retention goes up when you can see other people when you're sharing. I have a whiteboard feature. I could simply go here and say share, and I can bring up a whiteboard that all of us could draw on in real time. I mean, this is amazing, where I can have 16 people in different directions, and we would all be able to work in this whiteboard, be able to draw, bring up whatever we want. If you've got a tablet that supports touch or pen or iPad, we all could be drawing in this. I can also bring up a picture of something like a blueprint, and we could work on that in real time and be able to go back and forth with that. That aspect of being able to do that is absolutely tremendous when we think about how people are working and how things come together. It really changes up how we communicate and how we work together. So that's really the exciting part of that as we start to take a look at that. And that's now becoming the expectation. The thought of dialing in on a phone for a meeting is starting to go away, and people are like, I tune that out. I don't even listen to it unless I'm in the car. I'm even in the car and I'm on a Teams meeting, and I once left my camera on and I didn't realize people were watching me driving for a few minutes, and they're like, are you okay? You're driving. And I'm like, oh gosh, I'm sorry. I'll turn that off. And they're like, no, okay, be safe. But that's a really great thing to be able to do that, because it's far more personal. We're communicating today in this really personal, amazing way that is not dramatically different from the way this would be if I were sitting in the front of your room. I'm able to see you, you can see me, we're communicating. I'm seeing everything that's being said below. The meeting's being recorded. You'll be able to upload it to Stream and search it. That's a super powerful thing, especially when you have multiple meetings, knowing you can miss one and get caught up on it quickly.
Thank you.
Yeah. Yes, sir.
Question, with the teams, if you've got different accounts, like a work account and a personal account, can you have both those logged at the same time, or do you have to log out and log back in?
You'll have to switch between them. Now, you don't, what will happen is it will log you out of one because we're going to assume that your business account is business and it is secured and who can join and who can't, et cetera. So it will log you out of that account and then it will log you into your personal. It's not to say that you couldn't run personal on your phone and be in business at the same time because those are two separate. But inside of Teams itself, when you go up to the top, if you switch to another group, it'll log you out of your current group and then log you into your other, because it's also showing presence. It says when you're available so people can chat with you and talk to you and make that available. So you can have it on two separate devices, both running at the same time, but on your own device, I mean, you could have one in the browser and one on the desktop, but you can't be running two different desktop ones simultaneously. It won't let you, and you don't want it to because of security purposes. Other questions? If not, we've been going for about an hour now, so I think we're in a good place. Any app, Windows, something cool, something else you want to see, something that isn't working well for you that you want to know. We covered a lot tonight in a short period of time, so I'm happy.
Any reason why you were saving your, well, you're using OneDrive, and you had, like, let's say your pictures stored locally, and also mirrored on the cloud on OneDrive. If you were to edit your photos or pull them up, then you would be pulling them from the cloud instead of from your local desktop.
So if I go into, if I go into, so let me do this actually. So I'm going to start sharing. So I'm going to go to my desktop here. If I go into my Photos folder, now usually I use the Photos app here in Windows if I'm going to go into this, which does sync with OneDrive. But if I go here into OneDrive Personal and I go to Photos, so I go to Pictures, and I have a picture here. I go into Camera Roll and I pick something. Well, the first thing that's going to happen is when I double click anything here, it's now going to download it locally, and it's just going to open up inside of this app here. I can't do anything here. Once I edit, I'm editing the local version, then it will sync. So right now I'm seeing it here, which is great. As soon as I go into edit, I can edit this one, so I can say, you know what, I would like to make some adjustments here. I'd like to make it a little bit darker or lighter. And then I have a choice of either save a copy or just save. If I save, it's going to save over the one that's in the cloud because I've now made a change to the local copy, so it will sync to the cloud. If I did save a copy, it would make a copy. Now, if I go into OneDrive Personal, so hang on, let's do it the other way. And I go to View Online. Can you guys see my browser?
Coming up.
Cool. All right, I'm going to log in with my personal account, no peeking. And I go into Photos. I can go into albums, places, tags, etc. But then I can go into all those albums that I had, or I can go here into files specifically, and then I can go down to photos, which is, here's my pictures folder, and I can go back. And anyways, I'll see that change has already happened. So I can see here inside of OneDrive, notice it said uploaded to Camera Roll. That was the picture that I just changed. So if I were to go back into it, I would see that change. So yes, if you don't want to change something in the cloud, then what you need to do is you need to make a copy of it, and then you have that. But anything you make online, it'll update the version on the local device. Anything you change on the local device will be updated in the cloud, which is what you want. You don't want two different versions running. Does that answer your question? Did I understand it correctly?
Not exactly. I have hundreds and hundreds of photos. Some of them are quite large, and sometimes I scan through them, pop, real quick. And I know if it's scanning the local files, it's not a problem. But sometimes it only wants to access the cloud files. So to start to cycle through my photos, I have to start waiting for the images to download to the cloud before I can actually.
Yes, you will. Yeah, if they're not already local to the device, that first time you double click one, you will have to wait a moment. Now, the thing that you will see is, and let me go ahead and do this. So, and I have some pretty large files inside my photos. So if I go here into OneDrive Personal and I go into Photos, Pictures here, I'll see this pop up, relatively quickly with all of the different icons. So I can see it up here at the top. It's grabbing all the icons. And if I go into something, I'll see those. You'll see it'll take a second for it to download, and then I'll see all these icons come up. So the first time you do it, yes, it will take a few seconds for those thumbnails. And if you double click a picture, what's happening is it's downloading a local version of that. So that's kind of the thing to keep in mind as you're doing that is, oops, sorry, I didn't mean to click out of that. Is it will take a few seconds to get that thumbnail, and then once again, it will take a few seconds the first time you open it, because you're taking a picture that's in the cloud only, and you're saying, put it now down on my local device if you're going to look at it full size. That's why we bring you the thumbnails. But yeah,
Star files that I stored locally, at least I thought I did, and then they were copied to the cloud. But maybe I did, or maybe I just copied it to the cloud and then turned it into the. I'll have to check because I.
Yeah. And that's where you want to go into that OneDrive and just say redirect my photos folder to the cloud, which is going to put them there. That way you know that, and you can say keep every local one in the cloud, so all you see is the thumbnail and the only pictures that download are the ones that you want, freeing up space. Or you can say always keep on device and there'll always be a local copy, but if you make a change, it will update the cloud version.
One last thing.
Yeah.
Let's say you're away for a week, and you come home, you turn your laptop on. Sometimes it's pretty slow to get going. I'm thinking maybe this is because OneDrive is trying to sync some stuff up, and I'm wondering if it is, if there's any way to delay that until later.
Yeah. You can't. First of all, that's not OneDrive, because OneDrive, even if you've taken a bazillion photos, it's all in the cloud. It's just going to put a stub file locally. It's not downloading those files to your local device. So none of the pictures you took, even though you'll be able to see the icons for them, are going to be local to your device. So that's not taking any time. What you can do is anytime OneDrive is syncing, you can always go in and say pause syncing, and you can choose for how long. So if you did find that you just moved a ton of stuff over to your device in a folder that's being sunk to OneDrive, yes, you could say that will slow things up. So you can always say pause syncing for 2 hours, let me get work done, and then 2 hours later when I'm not at my desktop, then go ahead and sync all the stuff up to the cloud. That's if you're putting things locally, but I don't ever put anything locally. Every picture I take is automatically uploaded to OneDrive, so I never have to deal with that dumping a bunch of stuff locally.
That would be on the taskbar, and the icon that's up the taskbar, you just go and do it.
Yeah, I'm just left clicking it, it pops up, and then I go to more, and there's pause syncing. If you're not seeing this, then you may not be using the current version of OneDrive, and you should take a look, because we had an old version that used the old groove.exe client, which we no longer support. So if you have Office 2016, Windows 10, or Office 2019, you've gotten the new version, and it should have replaced it. So you should be good. But OneDrive, with everything we did, does not slow down PCs anymore. That was the old Groove version, and that's gone. We killed it. That was part of the whole redo. You can also drag and drop those photos directly into the browser too. So you can go into the OneDrive on the web and just drag them there and let it all work in the background, which works really well too. Yeah, gentleman in the back, you had a question? Yeah.
Any new features on Excel?
I'm sorry, say that again?
So Excel, any new features?
Yeah, I'll do one last demo, which I really love. There's a ton of cool new features in Excel, and I encourage you to go out to the Office blog and take a look. But I will show you what I think is one of the coolest new features in Excel that we have had in a long time. So give me a moment. Bring that up. Share Excel. I'm going to go to a new spreadsheet. So this is super cool. We have this new data feature. So I'm going to type in the names of some states. Let's do Maine. Let's do Illinois, Washington. Oops, do I spell it right? Washington, we'll pick North Carolina.
would you push the zoom slider to the right?
Slider to the zoom slider. How about if I just, there, is that better? Can you guys see it now? Okay, cool. All right, so I have this cool thing and I'm gonna highlight it and I'm gonna say, hey, this is geography. So watch what happens. It's gonna go out and now I get this cool little icon. And now I'm gonna hit a drop down. I'm gonna say, you know what, show me what the capital is of each of these states. I would also like for you to go in and show me what the population is for each of these states. And I'd also like to go in and have you show me, oh, let's say, average persons per household. That's it. That's all I have to do. And what's great is it's pulling this information in from Wolfram Alpha. So if I click North Carolina, I will see that here's the state flag. It tells me who the leaders are, country. Here's all the data that it can bring in and bring into that. So we're going to be doing even more. Right now we support stocks and geography, and we're going to have even more data sources that we're going to be bringing in. But it's now that easy. And you could do this by country, you name it, anything geography, what's the busiest city, largest. It really helps out. The other cool one is this what if analysis tool, where you can set up a scenario. So you can actually, if you were gonna, let's say you were graphing sales, you could say, hey, here's our goal seek. What would it take to do that? Or a scenario manager that you can actually walk through and say, what would it take to hit 20%? Or what happens if we drop 3% in sales year over year? So that's one or two of the cool new things that are in there that are just super easy to use, that are some of the newest features that we have in Excel. Also, that same ideas feature is in there as well. So I could go into ideas and I could say, hey, now I would like this chart, and I can even look for outliers. So I could say, hey, great, go ahead and insert that chart, and it brings that chart right in there. So again, that ideas functionality that we talked about earlier is across all of the Office products and can be brought in, and you can do some super cool stuff with it. I could do 2 hours on Excel. I could do 2 hours on any of these, but just trying. But if you have Office 365, you can go online and do it today, no matter what version of Office you have on your desktop. So I encourage you, if you have Office 365, go online and start to check this stuff out, because we'll always bring more features to our online version than our desktop. Our desktop we update, but not as quickly. If you want to see the coolest, latest, and greatest, go to our website, check out the blog, see all the cool new features, and go online and play with it. That's probably the best thing that I can share with you. All right.
New in what's new in OneNote? Are they doing anything for Android with that? Because I really missed that from my Microsoft phone.
Well, there is OneDrive for Android. There is, I'm sorry, OneNote for Android. We do have it, and we do have OneDrive for Android. We have it for both. What am I not understanding?
Anything new in?
I don't know. I know there's a lot of stuff we're doing around Classroom, which is super cool, and there's a bunch of cool stuff that we are bringing to mobile. I'll encourage you to go to the OneNote blog, and it will list all of the features that they're bringing there and what they're bringing to the different versions. So I'm an iOS guy, so I tend to use a lot of it on iOS, but it works great with Apple Pencil. It works really well in the Note 10. I know we brought some cool new features for the new Note 10 for the pen that involves some tapping and things like that that you can do, you can't do on other platforms. So I do know about that. And there is a lot of stuff we're doing in Office for Android that we don't have in iOS at this time, which is great. So for your Android users, there's some really good stuff in there. All right. Any other burning questions before I start to pack it up? Awesome. Useful, good use of time, learned a lot of good stuff. By the way, no pizza showed up at my door while I was doing this. I was waiting for the pizza guy to come in, so I wanted to join you guys on that one. So, all right, awesome. If you have any questions, just reach out to Kevin. He knows how to get a hold of me. I appreciate your time today. Thanks. Have a great meeting. Enjoy your evening. And if you're at Ignite, stop by the Microsoft 365 Experience Center booth. Would love to meet you in person and come by and just say hi. All right? Thanks, everyone. Have a great night.